What's up, y'all? This is Ron from Around Our Hype. Today, I am blessed and highly favored to be accompanied by someone who is an artist in their own right. They've been called LaRussell's right hand, social media guru, Berkeley graduate, just an overall dope human being, one of my favorite creators. Tietta, how you doing today?
I will. That was quite the intro. Thank you.
You like that? You
So,
like that? I had to throw a little bit of spice on it, just a little, just a little. Um, we're gonna get right into it. We're gonna get right into it. I'm not one for the easy question, so I'm straight into this thing we call art, right? So some of the biggest artists in hip hop are all doing like kind of like documentary or doc style content. We got Drake, Big Sean just released something yesterday. J.Cole has his Might Delete Later Volume 1, 2, and probably 3 on the way. Just off the top of my head, I think the next wave of, major artists are just going to be humans who kind of just film what they're doing day to day life and
mm,
sell their art directly to their communities, rather than through the different mediums. What do you kind of think is going to be the end all be all, or maybe not the end all be all, but the next phase of just artists and mediums and how it gets to just fans?
I think you're pretty spot on. I think that we're witnessing the evolution of direct to consumer and cutting out the middleman. I think that people will be a lot less reliant on streaming sources and all the other ways in which the artist has to communicate through something to get to their fans. I mean, people were saying it a long time ago, like you should have a mailing list and you should know all your contacts and super phones and all this stuff. So I think, it's always like whispers and rumors of what you should be doing, and everybody's like, okay, you're crazy, and then everybody starts doing it, and you see it work, and you're like, oh, I probably should have listened 5 years ago. So I think that we're in like year 4 of the 5 year
Mm,
plan of like, yeah, you probably should have had direct access to your fans and the people who support you and keep your business going.
yeah, yeah. I think you said we're witnessing it, but I think you're doing it. Um,
Yes.
you wear many different hats, and one of them is videographer at times, right? And in your own right, your own blog. So some of the style content, doc style. What do you think the value in that is to the fan and the consumer? Why do you think that's so important to see, or their life is so important to see?
I I feel like it makes you feel more connected to the human that you admire. It's easy to dehumanize an idol. You don't really
Mm,
see them outside of their craft or without their cape on. So when you get to see them in their day-to-day life, you realize how similar they are to you. You get to see their quirks, if they're funny, if they're goofy, if they're serious. You get to see all the things that just don't really get to be displayed when somebody is operating in their craft. So I think that vlog style really lets people connect on a deeper level than just admiration on a surface level of talent solely.
mm. I like that. I like that. You've been on the record, and you probably said it a few times, or Russell's probably said it a few times. Everybody who's in some sort of journey, or they're trying to change something, right? Has
Mm.
said, the success isn't really a place, but the journey is the destination, right?
Mm.
Why is, I guess, in the equation of success, why is the journey so valuable?
Mm. The journey is where it all takes place at. Like everything. I mean, I don't know. That's like a tricky question because it's like life is the journey. Like
Mhm.
there's never an end goal. Even when you think you reached success, it's like you still have to live after that, and there's still
Mhm.
more journey to be learned, and you might even come to find that your idea of success was like a mountain in on the way to a peak. So I think that there's so much value in the journey because that's all that our life is a journey. And if you can't even place value on your direct life, then I don't know where you're placing your value.
That's true. Do you find that like maybe if you have a goal on your way to hitting the goal, like the goal itself maybe changes or looks different, and you have to
Mm,
kind of come to grips with yourself, like, okay, maybe I wanted this, but going through the journey, I'm kind of changing. So what I want is kind of changing too.
absolutely. Absolutely. When I was growing up, my sole goal was to get to college. I didn't know what
Mhm.
I wanted to do when I got there. I was just like, I know that I want to go to college because everybody says you go to college after
Yeah.
you graduate or whatever, you know? And as I'm going through my journey of college, I'm realizing little it how little fulfillment I was getting through the act of going, you know? I felt more lost in college than I ever felt at any other point in my life, you know?
Mm.
Uh, so I don't know. Sometimes I think that your goals aren't even yours.
Mm.
They're ideas that society places in your head that you kind of chase after to find meaning in your life. But it's only through the act that you get to uncover what you really want. If you don't ever go after what society told you to want, then you're going to be lost. You know, if you don't ever go after your first goal, then you never get to come to grips with like, I didn't really want that. I wanted a slightly different version of that, or I don't want anything to do with that actually now that I'm trying to go and get it, you know. But you have to act in order to know.
You have to act in order to know. I like that. I like that. Yeah, I was thinking today on the way home from work, like my least favorite thing is traffic. Like I don't
Mm,
like not necessarily like everybody in a car is on the freeway and you can't go nowhere, but everybody is in a small bandwidth and now you can't go because everybody wants to go. That's like the idea of traffic. It's like, well, if everybody's going this way, I don't even want to go no more. Right?
I don't want to go where this is
Where's my
going.
direction? What's over there? Where nobody's going? Or what are times that nobody's lit? Or there's no
Yeah.
motion, there's no activity. I want to go there in that time. It's funny that you say that. I watch a lot of interviews, right? And in a lot of the interviews, a lot of the times, the host is a man, and they're interviewing a woman. And during their introduction, they always make like beauty comments or comment on how beautiful their guest is. Do you think that when men do that, they're almost objectifying women in a way, or do you think there's a balance between being appreciated for looks and being respected for you know your work?
That's a good question. it's it really depends on the energy behind the compliment.
Mm,
It truly does. It depends on who is saying it and their intention behind saying it. Um, Two people could give the same exact compliment and it could feel very, very different.
mm,
Uh, Personally, I prefer not to have people talk about how I look. I feel like it's an after fact.
mm,
And it does feel objectifying if it's the first thing that comes out of somebody's mouth or if it's the leading, if it's yeah, it just feels like I'm so much more than what I look like. And as is any other human. It's like somebody had like a lazy eye or something.
mm.
That's the first thing you point out. It's like, okay, we all can see that. You don't have to remind me. I look in the mirror every day. Um, but I don't know. It's all about energy. I feel like those kind of things are just a feeling. It's not a one size fits all.
And you're in the music business, the entertainment business. Does it sometimes feel like um your voice isn't as heard as much being a woman or being a black woman specifically?
It used to.
Okay.
Um, okay. I take that back. It still does at
Okay.
times. Um, Unfortunately, it that is a thing, and a lot of the time, I always tell LaRussell and the guys this because when we go places, especially when we're on tour, I'm usually the only girl in the entire group. It'll be a group of 10 to 12, and I'm the only girl or one of two, you know? And
Mhm.
I always not judge, but it's like a mental note of a man and his respect that he has for women on if he even greets you when he comes in the room. He'll come
Mm,
in, he'll dap everybody up, and he's like, "Hey, what's up, bro?" Da, 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 and he won't even acknowledge me. And I'm
mm,
standing right there looking at him, waiting to also greet him, in
Yeah.
whatever way that takes form. So those kind of things are, I try not to let them get to me, but I also am like, okay, that's a mental note. You have a lack of respect for women. Like you didn't even see me. I'm
Mm,
standing right here. Also when people ask questions and they look to LaRussell to like speak for me. Like they'll ask a question
mm,
about me, but they'll ask him. And it's like,
mhm,
I'm grown. I'm grown and I'm a fully functioning adult. You can
mm.
speak to me. You're able to speak to me. I nobody owns me in this room. It's
Yeah.
uh, but I think it's a society thing too, where like a lot of the time when women are in a space, they're not there for anything other than to look pretty, or they're somebody's wife or partner or something. So I think men just get in their head about like not wanting to offend anybody. So they're like, well, I'm just gonna not acknowledge that at all. But it's like
Mm.
you offended her. You so badly didn't want to offend any of the other men in the room that you offended the woman. So yeah, it does happen, but not in our direct space, which is why I love being a part of Good Company and LaRussell's team so much, because he not only makes sure that your opinion is heard and acknowledged, but he'll make sure that everybody else in the room is acknowledging and hearing your opinion and that it's respected, because I do have value and I am knowledgeable, and you're not just going to overlook me because I'm a woman.
Straight up, straight up. Do you
Yeah.
think ever about like your role in this space in terms of, you said, there's not a lot of women, obviously there's not a lot of black women as well. Do you ever think about your role as maybe like a role model in the space, and how younger kids or maybe even peers are
Yeah.
looking to you for that light or that direction?
Absolutely. Absolutely. There we have Splash now who films like a lot of the visualizers, and I'll even let him film shows and stuff sometimes. But I told him early on I didn't even trust him with the camera. I'm like, you have to prove that you're not gonna mess it up before I give it to you. But even now that I trust him, I've told him very candidly that it's like it doesn't matter how good you get with the camera. I'm always going to film shows because it's important for people to see women up there on stage working and having a pivotal role in what's happening. I'm very aware of the lack of representation of women, especially Black women, in
Mm.
a leadership role. A lot of the time, you'll see women in the music industry, but it's not in a role that people are looking up to in a
Yeah.
way, which I guess it depends on where you're at, but, I know that I was given the voice and the talent and the knowledge and skill for a reason, and I don't plan on I definitely plan on being a role model for other women, so that way they can see, like, no, all you have to do is work hard just like a man. Even though you're not gonna be treated the same way, you don't have to be a video vixen or all of these other things to be a part of the music industry. You can be in a actual like admin or leadership role and have impact. But
Yeah.
I actually do see, now that I let me backtrack on that. I actually do see a lot of women in leadership roles behind closed doors though.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're never you they're not often the face. You'll meet a man, and then
Mhm.
behind that man is a bunch of women making
Running the
making it
show.
smoothly. Yeah,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
I do definitely acknowledge the fact that I am partly the face and how
Mhm.
important that is as well. But I think LaRussell knows that too, and that's why he has made sure that he speaks my name in rooms and that he acknowledges the help that I've given and how important my role is.
Yeah, yeah. Let's talk a little bit about roles. I know you over there at GC, you
Yeah.
guys don't love roles per se, but being somebody who's so um, multifaceted, right? Like just abundant of skills. How do you decide? Like, okay, today, I know I don't know, we're in Seattle at Nectar's Lounge. I see Splash up there, but I'm gonna go over there on the gimbal too, and I'm gonna record. Or no, like I'm gonna be back up and I'm over here gonna get BTS on the cam, or oh, I'm doing admin for the next 12 hours. I'm just editing videos or responding to inquiries. Like, how do you wake up and decide, or how do you decide?
It always depends on what needs to be done
Mm,
first and foremost. And if there's nothing pressing that needs to be done, then I do what I want to do out of joy that day. If I've been editing for the last 3 days, I'm not going to pick up that computer. I'm not doing it. I don't have to, and I'm not going to. I'll respond to emails, or I'll organize itineraries for upcoming trips, or update calendars. But um, there's always something to be done, and it's just a matter of like keeping a running list of all the tasks that are to be updated and taken care of, and then just knocking them off one by one. I handle what needs to be done in a timely manner first, and then out of joy after that. That's the luxury of working for yourself, or with the collective. There's no boss like over your shoulder like, did you send out those emails today?
Cause you gonna know if you send out those emails or not. You gonna start to see those checks in there, those those inquiries. Like, oh, we're looking a little light. Oh, someone did send the emails. Okay, okay. Oh, but it's love. It's love. Priorities. Okay, that's what I'm getting from that. Prioritize, and then would do what you feel in that moment after getting the work done.
Yeah,
Okay.
we're trying a new system of time blocking
Oh,
earlier this week, of every day knocking out a little bit of everything. But nobody's perfect. We try to.
yeah.
That's the goal. Just get it done.
Yeah, time blocking is kind of cool. Sometimes I feel like for me it works. I work best in 2 hour periods. So I can do
Mm,
something for 2 hours and I'll try to do something else for 2 hours. And then maybe I'll come back to that first thing, or I'll do a third thing, whatever it is. But I think it's about staying fresh and not like feeling like, one thing is taking over your whole day, or that energy that you were given that one thing that you started to let up on.
yeah.
You don't take that energy into
Love it.
whatever's next.
Yeah, it makes you lose the love for it when you do it
Mhm.
for too long and too intensely. And it's like, I love editing, but I can't do it for 86 hours straight. It's like, I need a break,
Yeah.
please.
Yeah. That's right. That's right. Kind of keep it on that same wave, something you can do consistently and for long periods of time. Again, you and LaRussell are on the record of the easiest way, or like the most simplest way, I should say,
Yeah.
of getting up and doing it or chasing your dreams is, great content times consistency. Um, it's, I mean, there's only so much you can break something down until, it's just atoms at that point. But you're like, no, great content times consistency is however you want to go, or you'll go times however consistent you are, and however great your content is after that.
Yep.
But I'm gonna ask you, what is the key? And I think I know your answer, so I'm gonna preface it after. But what is the key to making great content?
Mm. It's a feeling. It's a feeling. And I know people hate when we say that. They're like,
I love
that's
that you hate it.
but it's true. It's like, if you weren't full of joy when you were creating it, if you weren't excited, if when you had the idea and you finally executed it, you weren't rushing back to your computer to upload or to render it out, and it's like
Mhm.
that, all of that feeling goes in, and then you finally post it and you're waiting for to share it with people. That's the feeling. And if you're not feeling that behind the content that you're creating, then you might get one, you might get two, you might get three, but how consistently you get those is up to you. And we see that a lot when we're like on sets with other people or shoot commercials and other people are heading it. And it's very like serious. And somebody's heading there like, you need to, who did this? Who did that? This needs to get done. And it's like, nobody's having fun. You can make this as professional and all the cool cuts and stuff, and it might go. But if we were all having fun, enjoying ourselves on this set, I guarantee it would go, because you can feel it through the screen. Like, when you're scrolling and something stops you, it stopped you because of how it made you feel. And that's where your focus needs to be when you're creating content.
Mm, mm. Do you think the kind of like you said, the love and the joy? Do you think that kind of fuels the consistency a little bit?
Definitely. You know when you like if you don't really know how to cook or paint or whatever the art is that you're doing and you finally do something really great one time, you're like, we got to try that again. But this time, let's do, it gives you it's a win. And every time you get a win, you're like, we should try to win again.
Mhm.
And it's fun. Everybody loves to win.
You never gets bored winning.
And winning never gets boring.
Find different ways to win. Find ways that you enjoy winning.
Right?
Win there. You mentioned like being stopped by content because it gave you that feeling of like, oh, like I can tell like there's an energy, behind this, behind the
Mhm.
creating of this. I think one of the first times that I felt like that with GC content, I think I want to say 2022. It was a rehearsal in
Mm.
LaRussell's garage. Um, and you guys did them all the time, but it wasn't LaRussell on the mic this time. It was you. And you
Dead.
were rapping blockchain, right? And there was just like this energy.
Didn't even give him a wig. We started off lit. Pressing the button, nigga. I started off sin. What is that to do now? With a rap bone getting blew down. Came up on sugar free and drew down. I be going too dumb. Boy, I play like I'm down 2-1. Then I blow up like I'm too young. I've been eating ramen, meditating, trying to read ramen. Amongst the immortals, I'm a shaman. I be uncommon. These rappers acting like common. Nothing else really rhyme with common. I can take a break now. We just need a one up with an ace down. Like Jack, nigga. Nah, it's not the best. That's how I deal with the pressure. We keep a rule of
But like you felt it, like you rapped it, like it was your song, and then Russell came in and re-up, and I was just like, there's an energy here behind that.
That was pure joy. That was
Pure-
pure joy on display. I was elated in that moment. I was having fun like a kid who gets to hang out with their best friend for the day, you know? You can feel that through the screen.
I was like, that energy is like you just can't fake it. Like it's unfakeable.
You can't stage that. Like that only happened because he went inside to get some water and we were live streaming. And everybody's like, well, we're bored. Somebody do something, tell a joke or something. They're just like joking in the chat. And I was like, give me the mic. I'll rap. And then that's how it happened. It's so organic. You can't plan that.
That's crazy. That's crazy. How I know you do a lot of the content. You're on record for knowing a lot of these songs. How many songs do you actually like? Could you rap like that?
A lot.
A lot. Like,
A lot.
There's
A lot.
32 albums worth. You got a lot of those albums in you.
There's a few on each album that I can. He's my
Mm.
favorite rapper. Like he makes my favorite music. So it's you know that album. You're thinking of it right now. That album and the song on that album that you're like, I could rap that top to bottom. That's my favorite song. And I feel like that about a lot of his music. And I spend a lot of time with his music, not even just passively consuming it. I'm
Yeah.
typing captions, I'm editing clips, I'm in the studio when he records it. I've heard
Yeah.
him rap the song 100 different ways, 100 different times through rehearsals and shows, and the song may as well be ours. It's his though. He wrote it.
Yeah, no, I get it. I get you. Let's talk about that style of LaRussell being your favorite rapper and all. There's sometimes I feel like hanging around other artists or other fans or whatever, and they don't understand why it connects or it clicks with people the way it does. The type of music he makes, the type of rap he makes. It's very anti-mainstream, and even taking another level under that, it's very anti-NorCal hip hop in terms of,
Funny.
I guess, yeah, like context, not beats or anything, but what he's rapping about. He's rapping about his life.
Mhm.
And people are like, hey, like some people are like, look at that. They're like, I don't get it. He's just rapping about his life. But you're like, no, like he's rapping about his life. He's not lying. So I wanted to ask you, before you even knew him, when you first got put onto him and you were a fan, how did you know that not only could he be your favorite rapper, but he could be a lot of other people's favorite rapper as well?
That's a great question.
Thank you.
I found him from the Field Effect 2. That was the last album that he had out at the time, and I found him off Do That Little Dance. And it was like, and it was at the height of the
Yeah.
George Floyd stuff, and it was just there was a lot of energy around the Black experience at that time. And if you've heard that album, you know how pivotal that album is to describing the Black experience. And it moved me. It moved me at a time, excuse me, at a time where I was seeking to be moved in that
Mm,
way. And before I even met him or reached out to him or posted his song on my story, I was listening. I used to have to commute an hour every day to and from work. So I was spending 2 hours in the car and I would just play that album top to bottom the entire way.
mm,
It's only like a 20-minute album. And I was playing it over and over and over again. And it was just like, this guy is special. I've never heard anybody rap like that. It was like when you hear Tupac for the first time, is how I
mm,
felt. And it was incredible. And he told it so poetically and tastefully, and like he still raps about and talks about the things that we hear in other, he just does it better. He's just better. You can't deny it. Like, and I knew that if I felt that strongly, and I'm different, but I'm very similar to the rest
mm,
of the world, that all we had to do was get people to hear him. And if you have any level of consciousness and humanism, and you care about society and what's happening to the human race, you're going to care about what he's talking about, because he's talking about all of us.
mm.
It's my
He's just
dog.
better. He's just better. No, he's just better. I rock with that.
He's
Like,
just better.
he's
Like, I
just
don't know
better.
what you're talking about.
Cool. Okay, well, and I was listening to a couple other interviews you did, so a couple of those questions are inspired by, or are inspired by those interviews. You were an
Mm,
A&R for Thizzler when you met or first heard of LaRussell, right?
yeah.
Um, so what do you think the disconnect is there between, trying to put him on a larger, Bay Area NorCal platform and then just being like, we don't see it?
Mm, yeah.
Maybe not Thizzler specifically. I'm not asking you just to shit on Thizzler, throw him under the bus. And I'm just there's just something that I can see like, why don't people rock with him the way he should be rocked?
Yeah, and it's not just Thizzler. It's
Mhm.
our radio station. It's Empire, the only label we have in the Bay. It's not just them. It's the entire. It's the only, well, before Good Company and what LaRussell started, it was the only music ecosystem in the Bay that
Mm,
refused to acknowledge his greatness.
mm,
And I think that it was truly just lack of understanding. When you're so deeply involved in the destruction of Black people and of hip hop and music, and you don't even see it as destruction. You think that you're carrying the torch. Anything that doesn't look like the torch that you're carrying is like, nah, it's not it. And it's so far left of the torch that you're carrying, it almost feels like a threat to the light. It feels like he might put out your flame, which
mm,
means all of the money that you're making off of promoting the murder of Black people and Black men is now, that's problematic to what you've been pushing. And
yeah,
it forces you to look at yourself like, why am I promoting the murder of Black bodies every day? But I say I'm for the culture. It can be very uncomfortable for somebody who doesn't want to look at themselves. And yeah, I had that conversation with Thizzler while I worked there, because I didn't know. When I got into the music industry, I just wanted a job in the music business. I had no idea what I was getting into. I didn't know anything about Thizzler, honestly. And I got the job, and as I'm working there, I'm hearing like they had dang, I forgot what his name was, but there's an artist that really can't stand them to the point where they were like, he was like, don't ever post my music or it's going to be a problem. Like I don't want anything to do with you. You don't have the right, like, leave me alone. And I didn't get it. I'm like, and I work here, so I'm like, what's happening? What is this? And they're like, he just doesn't oh, it was Filthy Rich. They're
Oh.
like, he doesn't you know, we had a misunderstanding back in the day. Like our job is to just tell the news. And we told
Mm,
the story of what was happening with him. And they think that we were inciting like the beef, basically, because we were talking about the beef.
mm,
But at the time, the way that they told me, I was like, well, yeah, you guys are a news and media company. That makes sense. You're talking about, if they're beefing, it's not your fault that you're telling the story. If they're beef, what do they have going on, you know? But the more that I witnessed the platform and the more time that I spent posting slapper nods and just terrible, terrible music, just terrible, terrible music that wasn't a real display of Bay Area talent
mhm.
and their lack of movement on talent that didn't look like that type of music, it made me fall out of love with the work that I was doing. And I just, yeah, I couldn't connect anymore. And I think that a lot of people feel like that. It's like the Bay Area is a melting pot. We don't all rap like DB about a bag. That's just not it. And he's talented. Like he's
Right.
done what he's done and I fuck with his music, but it's like you if you're going to be a media outlet for the Bay Area and you know that you're one of the only media outlets for the Bay Area, you have a due diligence to show the entirety of the Bay, not just what gets you likes, clicks, and views on your page. And if that's all that you care about, then that's what you need to say. And when
Mhm.
people call you out on it, you need to say, well, I'm just in it for the money. But you pose yourself as if you're trying to put on the Bay Area culture. And it's like, no, you're pushing a narrative and you care about your bottom line. And I get that it's a business and all this stuff. And that's a way deeper tunnel. That's the music industry as a whole, you know, like people only care about the bottom line, but music impacts the world. It impacts your mood, how you go out into the world, how you treat people, how you view yourself, who you want to be. Like music is influential. And for you to be a part of that and not take that seriously and feel like you have a due diligence to, at the bare minimum, if you're going to fill the store with things that are going to kill them, at least also give them fruit. That's all anybody's asking. I'm not telling you not to sell the snacks anymore. I get it. That keeps your lights on. But you shouldn't be against selling fruit. You're killing the people. Who's going to buy the snacks? They don't care.
They don't
And
care.
that's the real issue.
It's rinse and repeat. Next generation comes in buying the same snacks, making the same
Except they
meals.
won't. They won't. And that's why people didn't want to embrace LaRussell
Mm,
because he's the start of people looking at fruit now. And the more people that are looking at fruit, the less people that are looking at the snacks. And now you have to look at your business and be like, we need to make a change. And no business wants to make a change. They're like, if we can run this well dry, we just gonna keep
yeah,
rinsing and repeating. And I really think that was the aversion to LaRussell. It's like, who is this guy, and who does he think he is, challenging the way that we do things? Tell him to shut up. We're not even gonna put a spotlight on him. And then when they couldn't shut him up, it was like, well, we better get behind him because we don't want to look like we're not, you know? And at that point, it's like, shut up.
like, it's too late for y'all. That act like, oh, buddy, now we knew what was up. Yeah, that's interesting because I always thought, and I think you guys are very forward about the way you guys do things and how it's anti-industry approach from a business model standpoint, right? Like you
it's
said,
not it's not anti-industry. It's anti-destruction of the people.
mhm,
And the industry has its place. And they gave us Frank Ocean and Bruno Mars and Drake, and they have a place, and they do also promote great music when
mhm,
they get it. But
mhm,
it's the fact that they also dabble so heavily in the destruction of people. That's like, we had this conversation recently, and it's like, what are you hoping for your impact to be? I understand you want to make money. We all want to make money. But after the money is impact. And
Mhm.
that's what really matters. The money don't go with you, but the impact you had on this world will be felt for generations. And what do you want your impact to be? And that's really the issue with the music industry. It's like they don't care about impact at all. They only care about the money.
Yeah. Lack of responsibility, lack of accountability to what they're
Because of
actually.
power. They have
Yeah.
so much power. And like power that's not respected is dangerous.
100%. 100%. Oh, well, I think you guys have taken the torch at Good Company, and I know you probably take a personal responsibility to show specific talent, right?
Mhm.
In context, I think I was watching one of the vlogs you guys did right after the Hit Boy, and you're in the car with Gang, and you're talking about how you found Mally, and you're
Mhm.
proud about finding Mally. And Mally, if you don't know who Mally is, you'll soon find out.
He's
Amazing
going by he's going by Malachi now, too.
Malachi, my
Yep.
my I
No, you're
apologize.
good.
It's Malachi, right?
Yep.
Amazing rapper, amazing young human. What
Mhm.
what do you think it is about the LaRussells and the Malachis that, make the fruit, make them not snacks?
The awareness. They especially Mally. He has a level of human awareness that is like, how are you even thinking about that at 17? Yeah, at 17, I was going to house parties and I was concerned with boys. Like for him to be thinking about the effect that he has on a woman when he chooses to share himself with her, but he has no intention on being her
Mm,
partner. Is like no 17-year-old gives a crap about that. They're trying to rack up as many bodies as possible. And I think that offering offering that way of thinking to the masses, and he's not saying you're a piece of shit if that's what you do. He's just
yeah.
saying this is how those actions make me feel. It gives other kids who listen to music for guidance the opportunity to think that way. And I just think that it's important that we have both. Like we see what hip hop did to our generation. We see what making them all thugs and gangster rap. Like there's a reason why every young kid wants to tote a gun and be in a gang. It's that's we can't pretend like we don't know how it happened or where it came from. They made it cool. So if we offer the opposite, as it doesn't, we're not even trying to sell it as cool, just as an alternative. Like you can also think this way. You can think both ways, but you don't only have to think that one way. Make some fruit.
Mm. Do you ever think fruit would be cool?
I think it will. I think when people get tired of dying from diabetes and they
Mm,
know that they don't have to die that way,
mm,
they'll go seeking out the fruit. And it's important that we make sure the fruit is there when they go looking for it.
mm, mm. GC, the farmer's market. Okay. Okay. Couple more questions here while I have you.
This is great. You're doing a great job.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it. I'm just trying to allow you to share your perspective. That's all. I'm just shining a light on how you think. Um,
You're asking the good ones. I'm very passionate about the
I-
questions you're
I'm trying to get only the good ones, right? This should be a fun one, right? Pretend the internet disappears tomorrow. You're an A&R using your A&R brain. How are you breaking a new artist?
Sheesh. How am I going to break a new artist if there's no internet? You go back to the basics. You start street marketing, you do performances where people can find you, like in public spaces, and you you go back to the basics. It's crazy because we be talking like you should still have street teams. Even
Mm,
in the day and age of the internet, imagine if you were marketing on the internet, you were doing ads targeted to that city, but also everybody who didn't get that ad, they're seeing your flyer as they're running errands and people
Mm.
are leaving it on your cars and it's annoying, but it's like, I bet you know that show is gonna happen. I bet you know. You might be irritated, like, man, stupid thing. Why did somebody put this on my car? But you're gonna look at it. And if you know that artist, you're gonna be like, oh my God, I didn't know he was gonna be here. And now you have plans. So I think you just go back to the basics. We go back to selling physicals and you know, luckily we're the last generation that got to experience life before the internet. So I
Mhm.
wouldn't be lost. Maybe somebody who's 5, 10 years younger than me would be like, I don't even know how to exist. But I came up in life without the internet throughout my childhood. So I think I'd be okay.
I'm a gold card member, so let's talk a little bit about the gold card.
Let's go.
I think the idea is amazing. 100% community backing, 100% community back. I've only ever had like one question when it's come to. I've never denied the ability of the gold card or the transfer of value. The only question I have is what happens when LaRussell or somebody else from Good Company is performing in Staples Center? How do logistics behind that go?
Man, we talk about this often because he wants to do an offer-based arena show. We will do an offer-based
Okay.
arena. And it'll work logistically the same exact way that it works on every other show. There'll be a separate line for gold card members. You'll show your card and you'll get in. You might have to show your ID at that point because it's like, does that, and they'll check the records. But the gold cards are perpetual. It doesn't
Mm.
matter where, it doesn't matter when, and it doesn't matter how. If LaRussell's throwing a show, you get to be there.
The gift that keeps on giving. The gift that keeps on giving. I have a theory, right? It's a content theory. I have a lot of these, but my main theory is I think two things. One, I think solo performance shots where it's just, somebody sets up a phone or somebody's recording off a phone and just somebody's rapping into a camera. I think those are amazing if that's what you have. I think those are slowly dissipating in terms of just quantity and quality. But I also think tripod shots as a whole, just in media and entertainment, are they're almost going extinct in my eyes, or the value behind them is going extinct. What do you think about the tripod shot in 2024 and beyond?
I think every art form has a place, but you have to do it tastefully. It's
Mm.
not the tripod that's making the shot bad. It's not the tripod. It's everything else. Like, first of all, is the artist talented? Can you hear
Mm.
them? Because you have to visual and audio. That's what makes up 100% of the experience. And then you can go into, is it well lit? Can you see the artist? Or are they facing it? Are they moving within the frame? Because if it's a static shot and there's no movement in the shot, you're bored. It's like watching
Yeah,
somebody sleep. You're gonna look away eventually. Nobody want to watch that. I'm bored. So I think you just have to be, if you're gonna be, if you're gonna do the bare minimum on that end, you have to make up for it in other areas if you want it to go. And some people don't have to. Like, there's always exceptions to the rule. If you're exceptional and you're just sitting there, you're not moving, and that camera's just faced at you, but you're singing something crazy, you're gonna go because talent is gonna win every single time. But I don't know how many times that's gonna work for you because people get bored. They're like, "Oh, I know you can sing great. What else?"
yeah, 100%. I get that. Um, what about live content, right? I think if you've never been to a LaRussell show, you're missing out on one of the great wonders of this world. But that energy is, again, I don't even know if there are words to describe that energy. Like, and
Right.
everyone is so different, but so the same in a way too. Like that energy is still there, but
Mhm.
the walls are different, right? No matter
Right.
where you see them, like the crowd looks different, but that energy is still there. One of the 32 albums is a live album.
Which one?
Live at Black Wall Street.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah,
Dang,
yeah.
that was a crazy show.
But but why? Why do you think, or why do you know, or why aren't there more live LaRussell experiences in terms of
Like
recorded
stream.
albums? Like, yeah.
Um, I think it just was one of those things that he was really excited about in the moment, and he's like, "This needs to be like a live show." And it was also like one of the first road shows that he did. He had
Mhm.
gone to Omaha before that, and then we went to Tulsa, Oklahoma, and it's like there was so much energy in that space. Like we were literally on Black Wall Street that
Yeah,
they burned down to
yeah.
stop the progression of Black people. It was, and then it was one of his first road shows, and he was just blowing up, and it was magical. And that when you have that, it's that excitement that I'm talking about. Like when you create content like that, you're running to the computer to go share it with the world because you know how magical it is. And even though those experiences do still happen, they don't feel as new, I
Mm,
guess. So there's not as much like urgency to do that. He also has 30 something albums that of actual recorded music, you know? So if you start mixing in live shows too, and it's a lot of work on the admin side of doing the
yeah.
live shows, of crediting everybody, and he's really big on making sure that he credits everybody and does it properly. So
Well, I've kept you plenty. I only have one more question for you if you're down to answer it.
I'm ready.
All right. When it's all said and done, what do you want to be remembered by when you leave this earth?
Sheesh. What do I want to be remembered by? Um, what do you mean by that?
Um,
What do you mean by that? Like,
this is like I stopped asking this question. I haven't asked this question in like a year, but I thought I'd bring it back today specifically for you. Um, it's a overarching question. It's a little bit morbid. Like when you think of your legacy, kind of think of it in that sense.
Mhm.
Like if you were looking down upon yourself and somebody mentioned your name for the first time, right? And you're no
Yeah,
longer here. What would you want that to be?
it's crazy because it wouldn't even be about me. It would be
Mm,
about all the people that I helped and that I saw and that I just was like, "Huh, huh, huh." Like, I've had that drive in me for as long as I can remember of, like, when I see something to help if I can. And if I can't help, then to at least like speak life into that light to, try to help it grow. It there there's so much darkness. And
mm.
I want to be remembered as somebody who brought more light. That's
Tietta the
good.
light. Tietta the light. I rock with that. I rock with that. Thank you for coming on and do this. I had an
Thank
amazing time. You have an amazing perspective. Um, I'll give you the rest of this time to tell people what you got coming out beyond. If you got any more Hit Boy intros that you sneaking up on us, please let us know now.
right. Those always come. He just throws them at me. And those are the best ones because you never know. And luckily, I'm always ready because I'm always writing. I'm going to
Mm.
be releasing a poetry album this year. So you can be on
Ooh.
that. My first, it's so crazy because I never thought of myself as like an artist. I never thought I'd see the day I'm releasing an album. That's crazy. But you grow. So I'll be doing that. We're gonna be on tour with T-Pain. So if you see a date in your city, please come and show love to LaRussell because it's gonna be a hell of an experience. And I'll be there. So if you don't want to see him, come see me. um, and you guys should definitely stay up to date on this show. This was incredible. I didn't do any research. I like to go into things blind, so that way I have no judgment, no nothing. This was my first impression, and this was one of the best interviews I've done. So thank
That's
you for
wonderful.
having me and for thinking I was great enough to be interviewed.
No, it's the love's all mutual. I need Tietta's version of blockchain on streaming platforms
You know
ASAP.
what? We're gonna do it. We're gonna make that happen because
Hey,
everybody's
what
been
you want? I'm downloading whatever you need. I'm there. I'm there.
That's hella funny.
Yeah, but this has been another episode of The Art of Creating Yourself. Tieta, go support her. If you don't know, she's amazing. You just found out.
Sure did.
Yep, you already know how to support the platform because you're here. But it's always love. It's always peace. Go be the light to somebody or to something today. That's what I got.
Ooh,
But it's peace and love, everybody. I'll catch y'all next time. Peace.
power.